Hi, my name's Julie. I'm an independent Kaszazz consultant in Victoria, Australia. I'd like to demonstrate for you today how to create some boxes using the envelope punch board. Here at the moment it's a week off being Easter, so I thought an Easter box would be great to put some eggs in or a small gift in, but it could be used for any occasion. This box is approximately 4.5 inches wide, 3 inches deep and about 4 inches high, so it's a nice size to put whatever you would like in. Move them out of the way. So I'm going to use the envelope punch board. This is primarily designed for creating envelopes, but you can make all sorts of things with it. I'm going to use a sheet of 12 by 12 paper. This paper is from our Fellas collection and it's a lovely thick double-sided patterned paper. To use the punch board, you push your paper up against the edge to make sure it's square. And we're going to start by punching at 2.5 inches in. Use your palm of your hand because it is quite a hard punch. Then we're going to use the bone scorer, pop it up against this side and score down carefully. We're going to be running it along this scoring fold. It will come off the edge of the board. Try to avoid that because you can put rips in your work. Once you've done your first one, the way I like to do it is spin it around 180 degrees and do it again. 2.5 inches punch and score. Then I'm going to flip the paper over and working on the same corner, do the same measurement again, 2.5 inches, punch and score your paper. Now this line should line up with the one you saw earlier. It's a little bit hard to see on this paper. Same thing again, rotate 180, 2.5 inches, line your paper up, punch and score, and that one there also lines up. When you're scoring, you don't have to push too hard because you don't want to rip your paper, but you do want to make a big enough fold that you'll be able to see and fold your paper along those lines. Then we're going to work on the other corners, and I'm going to do this one at 3.5 inches. The original measurements I worked out were 3 3/8, but 3.5 works. It just makes a slightly different size box. So we're just scoring along that almost to the end, rotating it around. 3.5 inches, punch and score. I'm going to flip the paper over again to be able to do the other side of the corner. 3.5 inches, punch and score. I like to work on the same measurement continuously. Some people would swap between the two, but I'd rather keep the one measurement in my head. Okay, so we've now got 8 punch marks and 4 score lines, 2 and 2. And pop the board out of the way. These are your little leftover bits that you get. You can make fancy things out of them if you want, or you can just throw them away. Now we're going to fold it along all those score lines and just run the bone scorer along to give it a nice crisp fold. Folding it both ways, and where you've scored makes it much easier to fold along. And you can use either side, it doesn't matter which side you have it up. I've got a little Happy Easter thing I'm going to put on the side, and I think I might go with the denim side. These are going to be for some teenagers, some teenage boys, and I think they'll like that better. So then along these bits we're going to cut. You can either use a ruler and a knife, or you can use scissors, and we're just cutting along the fold line up to that next fold line going across. I usually work either side of the widest side. And we're going to do all 4 of those. So this one's narrower and this one's wider. These bits will then fold up to create your box. So what we're going to do is put tape on the triangle pieces. So all 4 triangles and all 3 sides of each triangle. So you want to get it just along the fold line. Okay, so once you've done all 4 triangles, you can start to assemble your box. So you can either pull it off completely, or you can make little tabs which will allow you to line it up a bit nicer before you commit to having it all sticky. So if you make little tabs like this, stand it up with your tabs hanging out, lining up your side nice and straight, stick it down. Now if these triangle pieces come out too far, just trim the ends off. Pull your tape off and stick it down, and pull that one out and stick that down. And there we have our box made. Now if you wanted to, you could have scored and folded along these top flaps, but I like to give a nice rounded top to it. And to do a little clasp on the top, I just use a brad. So I'm just going to punch a hole in one side, trying to get it fairly centred, big enough for your brad to go through. If you want to use a fancy brad like this, you'll need a bigger hole so that it can go over. Once you've got your hole in, you just fold it over to where you want it. Now you can pull it tight and give it a more flatter top, or you can have it out a bit looser, which will give it a more rounded top. Work out where you want your hole. Now just remember that when you let go, that's going to slide in, so always put your paper piercer at this side. Pop your finger where it is, try and get it centred, pop a hole through, and put one of your brads in and split it open. I like to leave these brads out a little bit. You don't want it too flush with your paper because you want to be able to get that hole sitting on it nicely. So there we have a box, and I think we'll have the brad on the front, so we'll do it up this way. And I've just got my little Happy Easter stamp. I have stamped this with our black pigment ink and used clear embossing powder over it because it gives a nice sharp image, but also a bit of shine to the image. I've then coloured in a little bit with our alcohol ink art markers and added some icicles on the edge just to make it a bit sparkly. Even though they're for boys, boys are allowed to have sparkle too. So there's our Easter box. I hope you all have a happy Easter, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.